Hello everybody, today I am going to be reviewing my VHS camera. Now if you're new here, consider that subscribe button, ring the bell. So if you saw in the what I got for Christmas video, I mentioned a camera that I got that plays VHS tapes and records whatever you want with it. And this is a really old one, and funny the story to this is that it's actually been passed down through multiple family members. So this was originally my grandpa's, and then my mom had it for a while, and then I have it currently. And I just really like this thing, so I just kind of wanted to provide all the features. And if you notice up here, I replaced the Coca-Cola sign with the splash mountain. It's kind of hard to see, but I put the splash mountain sign up there. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the exterior and all the buttons and stuff like that. So this model, I believe, is the CCD Signature 2000. And this was released, I believe, in 1986, and this thing has gone through so many times and stuff. Like, I remember my grandpa used to film it in like the 80s. So look at this big hunk. So the first thing I want to talk about is that there's actually a strap to this, which I find very useful because this thing is very heavy. And even compared to like that, this is a thing where you can film with your phone. It's so much lightweight. There's some type of novelty to this big kind of design. This is the model where basically you can put full VHS tapes in, because I've seen like smaller VHS type formats to where it's like smaller VHS tapes. If you eject this, there is an old school VHS tape. So I am somewhat familiar with VHS because it's just like, I remember I used to watch a lot of the Disney VHS movies when I was younger. I already am kind of familiar with the format. And the thing is that this is like, I did not expect to get this at all in Christmas, which is kind of a miracle because I have wanted to get one of these before, but it was like really expensive and I didn't want to spend all that money. So yeah, so there's a couple buttons on here that I want to mention. The power button, I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's a power button right there. So that's what turns it on. And then I don't know what the standby button does. I've kind of been trying to figure out how to do that. So basically, to turn on the recording, not to start the recording, but like to show like the camera and stuff like that, you slide this kind of like switch right here, and that'll start the camera. So there's a couple buttons on here. There's the rewind, play, fast forward, and stop. So basically kind of like all the basic ones. And the thing is that this camera has extensions added to it, because most of the stuff that is on this camera I don't think was in the original release of this camera. So for example, there's a viewfinder right here. So basically, you can see what you're recording without having to go through the lens. And you could just do like one eye right here. So I find that really cool. And there's a couple buttons on the front, or on like the side. You could set the date and time. You can set the year, and it's kind of like a counter. It's just really cool. There's also a microphone, which I actually tested this microphone earlier, and it's actually not bad for an 80s camera. And then you have a lens added to it. This lens can do macro and wide, I think. Actually, that might be the same thing. But it can go up close and stuff like that. So if you're trying to get like a wide shot, it'll do that. It does take a little bit of time, like 4 seconds to go out on a wide shot, but it's not too bad. Here's the lens cover, so it doesn't get dirty. Yeah, let's see if we can put this into action. And before I start this, I want to say how I managed to get VHS tapes onto my Mac and how I recorded those. Actually, I might do that after. But yeah, let's see what this thing can do. And I'm walking through like kind of like the different rooms of the house just to kind of show as an example. This room's a little dirty right now, but the microphone is pretty good. I remember I tested this earlier because for the first few days of owning this camera, like I had no idea how to make it work. So the thing is that like sometimes when I like record outside with this thing, there isn't really a backlight to this yet. I mean, I might try to add that down the line. But if you go outside, it's not going to be very much because there's no light here. I mean, luckily there's some light across inside, but it's like when you're recording over here, you can't see anything, basically. Yeah, so this is legit recorded on this camera. I'm not using a VHS filter or anything like some people do, because I want to have that legitimate factor. Like, I know that like you can do like a VHS filter and stuff like that, but it's just, I like doing it the old-fashioned way. So that's some footage that I recorded on this VHS tape, and I wanted to show you guys kind of like a how-to mini review in this video, because some people say, how are you getting those VHS recordings onto a computer? And I wanted to show you guys that process because it's kind of complicated, but I wanted to kind of show you guys that because I've seen tutorials on YouTube that show it, but you have to have like a DVD combo VHS player, so it would have both, and it's a lot of work. But with a couple devices or with a couple things that you might need, I did this pretty easily. So yeah, here it is. Alright, so this is kind of my temporary setup. My room is really messy right now, so I'm doing it on the bed. So sorry about that, and Chuck E. Cheese is kind of there in the corner. But this is kind of a complicated process, so kind of stick with me because it might seem complicated at first, but in reality, like, it's not too bad. So this is a lot of wires, and you're gonna need a couple things. So the first thing you're gonna need is a VHS player, but with my specific model, this is a battery charger for the battery of the VHS camera. But also, if you can get this, that would be great, this is composite in and out, so you can actually kind of use this as a VHS player. Most likely you're gonna need a VHS player or VCR, and they're kind of getting more expensive as the times have kind of progressed, because I remember you could get a VHS player for like not very much, but now people want a ton of money for them. So basically you're gonna need, this doesn't apply to that, you'll probably need a VHS player. Yeah, so you'll probably need that. And what you do is basically there's a AC adapter on the back of the camera, so you plug that into this. And what you also need to do is you also need to have composite cables. So basically, composite both ways. So what you need to do is you do composite out. And let me plug that in real quick. Okay, there it is. Okay, so you got that, and you have to have this adapter plugged in for this camera because it won't work. So you also need a AV to HDMI converter. So these are only like $10, they're not very much. The only thing that I don't really like about this is that it has a separate power. So this is USB to kind of like this in this port right here, 1080p or 720p. I prefer 720p for recording on this camera because I think it looks more authentic with like the bad quality. So also you need an HDMI cable, and you plug this into the output. You're gonna need a USB-A to USB-C because my MacBook is the latest MacBook and doesn't include USB-A anymore, which kind of sucks. But yeah, you're gonna need that. And what you're also gonna need over here, this is an HDMI to USB. So basically, if you plug this in to USB-A, it's gonna pop up as video input. So people sometimes do it with OBS, but I don't like OBS because it's too complicated. But if you have a Mac like I do, you could just do the QuickTime player. If you look over here, you set this arrow to USB video and USB digital audio. So you do that, you turn the camera on. This is not for every specific model. So it basically pops up on the computer, and this is kind of like a different view because if you look in this viewfinder right here, let me see if I can go through it. Yeah, it just shows up as the viewfinders because the viewfinder is kind of its own thing. What you do to play kind of like what you recorded, what I do is I rewind it, but this actually might play a different clip compared to what I filmed for this video because I've already kind of experimented with it a little bit. So you rewind it. Alright, so it's gonna press play. It should do it. Yeah, here it is. Yep, so this is what I recorded for the YouTube video. So what you do basically to get that footage is you just click this record button while it's playing. So I don't see very many people talking about the QuickTime version. I've seen people talk about like OBS and all that, but I think QuickTime is a lot easier. I don't know about Windows users though, because I've seen kind of different tutorials on that. So yeah, sorry if that's a little bit complicated, but I kind of wanted to share that tutorial, so yeah. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I kind of wanted to do this video because I'm very interested in like the old VHSs and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.